early. Wow, aren't we lucky to have heard that original recording of a young man getting woken up at 6 a.m. in 1524 to start work on the fields. Simply remarkable. Hello and welcome back to the final couplet with me, Theo Cowan. I am recording this podcast from my bed. Yeah, sometimes I like to treat myself to a little Sunday session reading some Shakespeare in bed. I've got the podcast arm engaged and it is stretched out over my bed, and I'm sat up, so don't worry about that. I'm not completely flat lying down facing the ceiling. I am doing some work, but I just thought I'd let you know if that paints a picture. I'm sat in bed, and I'm hoping that might add something to today's episode, because today we are looking at Sonnet 142. We're deep into the series of sonnets that Shakespeare wrote about/to the Dark Lady. People have labelled her the Dark Lady, and she is not at the moment really reciprocating his love, and he's getting more and more annoyed, more and more insane. So let's see what Sonnet 142 has for us. Love is my sin, and thy dear virtue hate. Hate of my sin, grounded on sinful loving. Oh, but with mine compare thou thine own state, and thou shalt find it merits not reproving. Or, if it do, not from those lips of thine, that have profaned their scarlet ornaments and sealed false bonds of love as oft as mine, robbed others' beds' revenues of their rents. Be it lawful, I love thee as thou lovest those whom thine eyes woo, as mine importune thee. Root pity in thy heart, and when it grows, thy pity may deserve to be pitied be. If thou dost seek to have what thou dost hide, by self-example mayst thou be denied. So there we have it, Sonnet 142, and again he's getting a bit angry in this one. He's turned to, oh, I love you so much in the past, and he's tried different tactics to win the Dark Lady over. But really, this one, he's just going, well, you know what? I've slept with other people, all right? I've slept with other people's wives, husbands, whatever. And so have you, by the way, so don't get hypocritical. And if you're annoyed at me sleeping around, take a long, hard look at yourself, okay? And he's once again annoyed that the Dark Lady is rejecting him, but is freely loving these other people. And at this point, you're like, bloody hell, Shakespeare, just give it a rest. She clearly doesn't want to just be with you. She clearly likes hanging around with other people, and that's fine. But he's again freely admitting that loving her is his sin, and that she hates him loving her. And that is a problem. Right, I think we should dive into this line by line and work out what the hell Shakespeare is going on about in Sonnet 142. So we start with, love is my sin, and thy dear virtue hate. Hate of my sin, grounded on sinful loving. So that's quite a complex, mad first couple of lines, I've got to say. It's not the easiest one to understand. I think if you heard that straight up, you'd be a bit like, whoa, what the hell are you talking about? So let's break that down. He's saying, loving you is my sin. That's pretty clear. And then he's saying, and your virtue, and I think virtue we could maybe put in quotation marks here. So your virtue, it's not really a virtue, but your virtue is hating my love for you. Your virtue is hating my sin. So we've got a problem here straight off the bat. I love you and I know that's sinful, and you hate my love for you. But this hate is grounded in your own sinful loving. That's what Shakespeare's hypothesizing here. So she, the Dark Lady, is sinfully loving these other people. And this hatred is grounded in that, is what Shakespeare is saying here, I think. But of course he will expand on this, thank God, because that is a complicated couple of lines. Oh, but with mine, compare thou thine own state, and thou shalt find it merits not reproving. So here he's saying, but compare my moral situation with yours, all right? And you'll see that you shouldn't reprimand me. Don't hate me, all right? Or if it do, not from those lips of thine. So if I do deserve to be reprimanded, I certainly don't deserve to be reprimanded by those lips of yours. That would be some cheek. And he goes on to explain why. That have profaned their scarlet ornaments and sealed false bonds of love as oft as mine. So those lips of yours, which were once beautiful, have been misused, and your lips have kissed as many people and made as many false promises as mine have. All right? And then he says this line, which I love, robbed others' beds revenues of their rents. Which is basically saying, you've slept with other people's partners, as much as I have. So he's saying, look, I've slept around in the past. Maybe I still am. But so have you, so don't get on your high horse about it. But I am a little bit confused because I don't think she's having a go at him. Well, I mean, we don't see her side of it. We don't hear her sonnets if she writes them. Probably not. It's probably just Shakespeare just sending constant sonnets to her or reading them out to her. But I didn't get the sense that she was annoyed at him sleeping around. I just got the sense that she was happy to be sleeping around and she was kind of annoyed that he loved her so much. So maybe there's been a conversation or a discussion had between them, and she said, look, I'm not happy about what's going on here, you going off and being with other people. And he's saying, you're a bit of a hypocrite, by the way, because you're doing the same. Then he continues with, be it lawful, I love thee as thou lovest those whom thine eyes woo, as mine importune thee. So here I think he's saying, so it should be acceptable for me to love you, just as you love those other people. The people who you seduce with your glances, the same way I seduce you with my glances. So he's saying, look, you freely love these other people, and I love you. And you need to accept that I love you in the same way that you love these other people, and that's what you need to get into your head. So again, it's that weird thing of Shakespeare being like, look, I know you love these other guys and women, who knows who, but I know you love these other people, and I just love you, and I need you to accept that. He almost just wants her to turn around and go, yeah, I accept that you love me, and that's fine. But she's not. She's clearly not giving him that. She's clearly going, I don't like how you love me. I think that's gross, or something like that. Root pity in thy heart, that when it grows, thy pity may deserve to be pitied be. So he's saying, have pity for me, so that in time you might deserve compassion yourself one day. All right? So pity me now. Pity is not a very, I'd say, Shakespeare, if you're writing another sonnet, I probably wouldn't use pity. Have pity on me, I think, is a bit of a weak term. It doesn't strike me as love or passionate particularly. It's like, oh, pity me, I'm on my knees here, I'm desperate for you to love me. And I think that's a little bit sad, but he's clearly getting desperate at this point. But he's saying, pity me, and you know, one day you might be pitied yourself when you need it. People might show compassion for you one day, because you're certainly not showing it now, and that'll come back to bite you. And now we're on to the final couplet, which is, if thou dost seek to have what thou dost hide, by self-example mayst thou be denied. And here I think, you know, as usual, the final couplet sums up the sonnet. And he's saying, look, if you expect to receive the kind of love you're hiding from me, then your own behaviour might cause you to be denied it. So again, he's accusing her of hiding her love of him. But I'm sorry to say it, Shakespeare, but I kind of get the impression that she doesn't love him. She clearly loves these other guys. But I think he's saying, look, you're denying yourself, you're denying your heart, and you do love me, and you need to just say that. But, I mean, God, it does seem like she doesn't love him. It's a real nightmare situation for Shakespeare, and he's getting more and more malicious with these sonnets, I think. Right, I think it's about time we put this sonnet to our story. And if you remember last week, Shakespeare has gone to the pub with the Dark Lady, and she has been having a great time in there, honestly. She's been with the barman, she's been with various women, and they've all been in this closet having a lovely old time. Shakespeare's been spurned, and he's waited outside the pub for the Dark Lady. And eventually, hours go by, and she comes out, and she's obviously had a lovely night. And Shakespeare's going, hey, we need to talk. And he starts sort of telling her that she's ugly, she's not as pretty as she thinks she is. And he says, look, I'm going to read this sonnet to you. The Dark Lady starts walking away from him down the street, and Shakespeare pulls out Sonnet 141, and he reads it to her. And he's saying, look, you've got loads of flaws in your looks, and I don't like what I see necessarily. My ears don't like what they're listening to with your voice, and my senses, I don't really even like touching you. But for some reason, my heart loves you, and that is a real bloody problem. So that's what Sonnet 141 is all about. Let's see how Sonnet 142 fits into all this. Shakespeare finishes reading Sonnet 141 to the Dark Lady. He looks up from his parchment that he wrote the sonnet on, and discovers the Dark Lady isn't even there. She's walked off so fast that as he finished reading the final couplet, she'd vanished. And he thought, oh, bloody hell, should I even listen to my sonnets now? That's crazy. These sonnets take a long time to write, and I'm William Shakespeare, for God's sake. I'm the best writer to ever walk God's green earth. This is beyond a joke now. And he starts running through the streets trying to find the Dark Lady. Eventually, after an hour of searching, he turns a corner and sees the Dark Lady there, under a street lamp. An oil lamp, of course. And she's just making out with the woman. And he goes, hey, Dark Lady, who are you kissing? And she turns around and sees him and says, oh, God, you found me. I don't know, we just met about half an hour ago, and she's lovely, and what are you going to do? And Shakespeare says, that's ridiculous, you just met her, that's crazy. And she says, you know what, Shakespeare, you're a bit of a hypocrite, aren't you, mate? Because I see you're going off with all these different men and women over the last couple of months of knowing you, and now you're having a go at me for loving other people myself. That's crazy. And Shakespeare says, well, no, I mean, yeah, of course, I can go off with other people, and that's fine, but you, like, you know, she might have a husband or a wife. And the woman turns to Shakespeare and says, no, I don't, I'm single. And he says, yeah, but you weren't to know that, were you? And the Dark Lady says, so who cares? It's a free world, man. Lighten up. And the woman goes, I'm going to go. This has got a little bit weird. And the Dark Lady says, oh, well, can I have your number? And the woman says, number? Yeah, your door number. And the woman says, oh, door number. Yes, it's number 9. And the Dark Lady says, thank you. See ya. I'll be in touch. The woman walks off into the darkness, and Shakespeare says, look, you sleep around, I sleep around. You love other people, and I love you. I only love you. Look, I sleep with other people. Yeah, so what? But I don't love them. You seem to love them, and you're not accepting my love of you, and that's not fair. Look, I don't want to love you. It's annoying that I love you. And the Dark Lady says, yeah, it is bloody annoying that you love me. And Shakespeare says, see, you're annoyed. I'm annoyed, but I love you, and I hate to say it, it's my sin. It's my sin. Hey, that's good. That's really good. And Dark Lady says, what's good? And he says, oh, just my love is My love of you is my sin. That's a good line. I should probably write that into something. And the Dark Lady says, oh, God, you and your writing. You're always thinking about your bloody writing. It's pretty annoying. How many sonnets do you read me by now? 20, 24, 25? Shakespeare says, I don't really keep count. I've probably written hundreds. Not just to you, obviously, to other people, but they've passed through my life, and now it's you, and you're the recipient of the sonnets. So you're quite lucky, really, because one day these sonnets are going to be very famous. And the Dark Lady says, oh, I'm sure they are, Shakespeare. I'm sure they are. And then Shakespeare says, in fact, all this talk of sonnets has made me want to write another one. And the Dark Lady says, oh, for God's sake, is it going to be about me? And about love and sin? Shakespeare says, yeah, well, obviously. I mean, that's my inspiration, isn't it? And she turns to go again. Shakespeare says, hey, hold on, because I don't have a pen or paper. Do you have a pen and paper? And the Dark Lady says, no, I don't have a pen and paper. He says, oh, for God's sake. Well, look, I'm going to have to just freestyle it. And the Dark Lady says, well, have you thought about freestyling it to yourself? Do I have to be here? And Shakespeare says, yes, obviously someone has to be here to hear my freestyle. That's crazy of you to suggest. And actually, I'd rather there were a few more people to hear it, because I feel like this is going to be a bloody good one, actually. So with that, Shakespeare starts knocking on all the doors on the street, waking people up. It's 2 a.m. He goes, hey, come out here. Do you want to hear a freestyle sonnet? People are like, what are you talking about, freestyle sonnet? What the bloody... It's 2 a.m. And Shakespeare says, no, trust me, I'm William Shakespeare. You're going to want to hear this. Eventually, after 10, 15 minutes of trying to make people hear his freestyle sonnet, 3 people from the street stand there in their pyjamas. And of course, the Dark Lady is stood there as well. She's annoyed, but she is also intrigued about this freestyle sonnet Shakespeare's been talking about. She's heard of his famous sonnet battles with Ben Jonson over the years. Right, are you ready? Are you ready, everyone? Everyone stands there. There's a few coughs. And someone says, yeah, we're ready. Hurry up with it. And Shakespeare says, can someone lay down a beat for me? And an old lady in her doorway starts going. Shakespeare goes, yeah, that's a sick beat. That is a sick beat, to be fair. And then he starts speaking, almost rapping. Sonnet 142. Loving you is my sin, and your virtue is hating my love for you, a hate grounded in your own sinful loving. But compare my moral situation with yours, and you'll see that I shouldn't be reprimanded, or if I do, not from your lips, which once beautiful have been misused. Your lips have kissed as many people and made as many false promises as mine have, and we've both stolen other people's partners. So it should be acceptable for me to love you just as you love those other people, the people who you seduce with your glances, the same way I seduce you. Have pity for me, so that in time you might deserve compassion yourself one day. If you expect to receive the kind of love you're hiding from me, then your own behaviour might cause you to be denied it. So there we have it, Sonnet 142, and the story to go with it. Shakespeare's still madly pursuing the Dark Lady, even though she clearly isn't into him. At this point, she just wants to go home and go to sleep, probably. But Shakespeare is stood there in the street performing to a group of sleepy people at their doorways and a reluctant woman. Next week, I have a great guest on, and we're going to discuss Sonnet 143, of course. Until then, bye.